everyone, welcome to another Meet the 818 interview. Today, I have the privilege and the honor of introducing you to Mr. Hector Roman Perez,
Hey, hello, hello.
host and director of ValleyViews. Welcome, Hector. How are you?
I'm doing well. I'm very blessed. Thank you, Dan Rochelle, for having me here on your platform. It's a pleasure for me to be here with you. So I'm doing really well.
Yes, I'm so excited because we have been doing, for those who haven't tuned in or who don't know, you and I have been doing the Spotlight series collaboration featuring the movers and shakers of the San Fernando Valley, and we've done this since October, right?
Yes, that's right.
October on Sundays, and we I think the first time we spoke to each other was probably a year ago when your radio station hit its 1 year mark. And you reached out to me and said, "Hey, can you do a feature on me on the radio station? And this is what I do, et cetera, et cetera." Um, but the thing after that, I started following you and I started listening to the radio shows. I started going on, tuning into your to the archives and just kind of like going back to what you're doing. And I will tell you, it's one of the most inspirational stuff that I've seen. Your love for the San Fernando Valley, for just featuring people, and just wanting to build community shines through so much. And
No,
I
thank you.
cannot
Appreciate
thank you enough for
that.
what you do.
Yeah, thank you.
So
Thank you.
with that said, I mean, how did this all start? I mean, how did Valley View start? How did this fall into your lap? Tell us your story, sir.
Yeah, well, first of all, it's an honor, like I said already, to be here with you, Dan Rochelle. One, also because today, as we're sitting here on Zoom, it's the 2nd year anniversary of Valley Views. And
Yeah.
so, leading up to today, I was, being very reflective about just how did this happen? So I too asked that same question you just asked me. But I just want to give a big shout out and thank you too to a good friend of mine, Angel Cervantes, who also has a show on KROJ called El Show de la Pachanga on Sunday, 7 to 9. Everybody tune in. But anyway, Angel and I, we go back to our college days, our undergrad days, and at one of the alumni events that we were at, he had mentioned to me that he's out here in the San Fernando Valley as well,
Mhm.
and we chat and stuff like that. But he had asked, if I wanted to be on the radio. They had just finished up the licensing with the FCC. And so they were really excited. At that point, there wasn't any shows except for hits. So there was one show going on, and he asked if I wanted to be on. And one of the things that I do outside of radio host, I'm a teacher. I love teaching here in the San Fernando Valley as well. And really originally asked, like, yo, you should do, just because of your passion and your achievements, whatnot, like in the teacher world, maybe you should do a show on like education issues. And I really thought about that, and I wanted to broaden that spectrum. I want to, I still do that as well on my shows, and I will continue to do that. But I wanted to, one of the things when that conversation happened, it was really about, for me, just reflecting on just the media itself, whether it radio, TV, whatnot, and just realizing sometimes in some of our communities here in the San Fernando Valley, how the media, if it involves violence, if it involves some type of crime, that type of thing, they'll come out and cover things, and it's very rare where they'll do features on just ordinary people doing extraordinary things. And so that's when I got to thinking, and I really wanted to, I visualized pretty much building something where, my show would be about highlighting the brilliant people of the San Fernando Valley, and so that's kind of how that started. So then, we had that conversation, and originally he had said, Angel had told me, like, you could have the slots, here are the slots and all that. I was like, all right, cool, I'll go with this Sunday. I was like, you know what, just give me an hour. And he's like, look, I think you could do 2 hours. I was like, no way am I going to be able to like do 2 hours, you know? And he's like, look, I think it's just best if you just keep the 2 hours and see what happens. I was like, oh gosh, I don't know if I'm gonna be able to like sustain a show for 2 hours like every Sunday. And I was like, you know what? Fine, let's do it. And 2 years later, here I am. 2 hours every Sunday is just not enough anymore. So but that's kind of how it started. And yeah, it was today, December 15th, 2021 marks 2 years. So which means our first show aired back in December 15th of 2019. And it's been an incredible journey since then. And I've taken the ValleyViews mission of uplifting stories of brilliant people, organizations, businesses, social movements that really have a positive impact on the San Fernando Valley and beyond, by having like really deep and meaningful conversations. Really, it's the way I like to just connect with folks anyway, and at the intersectionality of politics, economics, culture, art, and music, and just trying to bring that to life with so many amazing people here in the San Fernando Valley.
Yeah, no, and every Sunday you bring it. Last Sunday, like, oh, you were saying the 2 hours, you were like, oh, what am I going to do with 2 hours? I'm like, our 2 hours were not even enough on Sunday.
Right? Seriously.
Our first hour ran over a little
And
over.
almost the second hour too, exactly. And I think part of that too is to me it's like this platform, this radio show, this the social media and all of that goes with it, that I been working on a lot, right? Of course, to build and connect and bridge. To me, it's not about me. So like, when we do those 2 hours, I just really want the folks that come on the show to shine, to be uplifted and to tell their story, and once you make them comfortable enough to talk about themselves, because I know that's not always something that folks like to do, especially folks that are very humble and just doing the work, right? And so when they get recognized, they obviously there's a little bit of feeling uncomfortable about that, but once you kind of really make the environment as safe as possible for them and know it's just a friendly conversation, they open up so much to you, both during, as you've seen Dan Rochelle yourself, right, on air, during the on-air segments, but also when we're off air and we're just in the studio like running music while they're there in the show and taking a musical break. We get to learn so much. I've been able to have that privilege, and that makes me even more humble, I think, to just to get to know so many folks and their stories, their struggles, their tribulations, and their achievements and accomplishments too. So yeah, 2 hours is just not enough. I do have a Thursday slot too, which usually I've been doing rebroadcast, but sometimes I bring in guests on Thursdays as well. Yeah.
Yeah, I know, and it's awesome. Like I've been in the studio 3 times already. So what is that, 6 hours? Oh wait, no, never mind. 4 times.
Was it 4 times already? Is that it? So that, okay.
Oh no, the first time I was there, you interviewed me.
That's right. That's right.
And then I stayed with DJ
Blizzard. Yeah, that's right.
Yes. Tommy and
Tommy Zoo as well. Yeah, Tommy Zoo and Blizzard. Big shout out to them too. Yeah, yeah.
Awesome people. We need to get them back.
Right.
But yeah, no, just watching you interview, and you just really have that radio personality, and you have that ability to bring people's stories out without making it about you. Does that make sense? Like,
I hope so. Yeah, no, and I think it does. And yeah, and to me, that's, like I said, I think when I first built this platform, that's why I didn't call it like the Hector Show either. It's because it really isn't. It is not about me. It really is about how can I or the platform uplift and shine others. And so that's part of the vision, and the mission is to really just do that, and do it through different means in our platform. We have the radio piece, of course, that goes with it. We got the social media as well. And even through social media, I really try to find ways to uplift folks there as well and tell their story. I have a different series online that I also do called the on the spot interviews, which actually I just got back from one this evening that I was at. But yeah, so it's really just trying to find ways. And actually, I got some other things cooking for next year when it comes to figuring out other ways to highlight folks too online. But yeah, it really isn't. It's just my efforts and vision, along with now building a team to accomplish that mission. So yeah, it's I'm just really happy when other folks are shining. When one of the things I enjoy the most is when either I'm out in the field in the community doing interviews or talking to folks, or in the studio. It's the way folks just kind of light up when they talk about the things that they're passionate about, the things that they find meaning and purpose in their life, and the way they speak about it. It's one thing when you're on the radio and just listening to it, but when you're there, and you see the way they interact, in the way, again, like the body posture, the face, and just the energy that builds when you hear people's passions like that. That's really what this platform's about, and it's just, that's really what humbles me, is to give folks that platform, because again, going back to what I mentioned at the beginning, like, I just don't see that. And no shade on, like, corporate media, if you will, commercial media, but they just have a different purpose, and a different intent. And so I'm trying to build something where the community really feels proud of, and also that the community sees that this is also part of their platform too, because it really is.
Exactly. And in the past year, that's, I think, that ValleyViews kind of branched out that way. I think the first year you had your radio shows, you had your guests, but this year, when we started to open, I started seeing you more out in the community. We started
Yeah.
we
I think
started
I remember
bumping.
you the first time I saw you. I think the first time I met you in person was at the A18 pop-up shop that Marie runs.
Yes.
And that was over at the 7557 address location there in front of the Van Nuys Airport. But that's the first time I saw you, and I think it was you and Phoebe there.
Yeah.
And and of course after that, we interacted more. But yeah, I mean, it's just great being out in the community. And we started our show back in 2019. And then, March of 2020, of course, the pandemic hit. So I had to pivot as to how I was going to run interviews and all of that. And the goal was for me to, go out to the community. Obviously, the pandemic slowed those things down. We wanted to be safe. And, but, little by little, in 2020, I still did some coverage of, the Black Lives Matter movement out in LA and things of that sort. So I did go to certain things, but it was definitely a time where, there was a lot of uncertainty with the COVID pandemic. And so, yeah, this year has definitely been a little different when it comes to that. And, just trying to highlight different, communities out here in the Valley, and just really trying to uplift stories is, what I just love doing, just meeting folks and having them tell their story.
Yeah. No, and it, you've been doing the community announcements on social media. Obviously, you mentioned your on the spot interview, but one of the most recent things that I thought was amazing.
What is this?
I get a text from you a couple of weeks ago, and you're like, I have my first live performance in the studio.
Oh yeah.
So
Yeah. Yeah.
tell us about that. First live artist in the studio. How was
Yeah.
that?
Yeah, so I had this series. I really try to when I do different types of series, link up with different folks and collaborate with them too, or just kind of like change up a little bit of like keeping within the mission. And so one of the series I have is called the Stage Series, which I'm a big NPR and KCRW supporter. Public radio, of course, and one of their series they have of course, the Tiny Desk Studio. So I kind of really modeled it after that, because that's what I vibe to a lot. And so I wanted to bring kind of something similar to that, of course, but within my own taste and flavor. And so, and again, the mission of highlighting folks. So yeah, I brought in a band by the name of Glass Kitten. So big
Yes.
shout out to Glass Kitten. And that was the first on ValleyViews, the very first band that played live on the radio for the stage series. I had brought in some. I had brought in before, like some rap artists, and rap artists is a different skill. They just send me their instrumental mixes, and then we just run it through my DJ controller and stuff like that. But this was a whole nother level, and but again, going back to building with others, I call a couple of my buddies and things of that sort. A big shout out to Jose the Panda, who's also doing some work with us now as doing some audio engineering and things of that sort. DJ Grover, who also came in and helped out. But yeah, I mean, I was pretty scared. I'm not gonna lie, I was pretty scared because it's the first time running a big show like that with a band in the studio. We did it in our conference room. And, we had different camera angles. I had the whole vision, and I was a little scared about it. But at the same time, I felt like that fear and that like, stepping into the unknown. I also know that that's also part of growth. And so, like, for me, it's like, okay, I'm growing. If I'm kind of like, I'm not, when you're comfortable, that means you're kind of already, good in your space, and you could kind of like, control the things that you can in your life, right? But that was something that felt a little bit out of my control because I was not in that element before like that. But I got to tell you, it all came together with DJ Grover and Jose the Panda helping out. We were able to, mic everything from the drums to the bass, the guitarist, the vocalist. We ran a 16-channel. We had a 16-channel mixer, a stage box, a snake. We had plenty of XLRs. All these things that you asked me a little two years ago. I would not even be able to tell you what some of that stuff was. You know what I mean? So, and the show turned out just beautifully. Such really great energy from Glass Kitten, a punk grunge band. And, it was just really great vibes. The audio came out great. But again, it was just a team effort too. It was me helping others come in, giving them an opportunity, but also to help build together. So yeah, it was a wonderful show. It was just great to have them there. And they themselves were so appreciative, and like how professional we were about like how, when they went into the studio and they saw our setup and the way we, were able to handle the sound. After that, I think the last thing I want to say on this is the last the show we had after that. It was we had a rapper, Sticky Bandit. Shout out to Sticky Bandit. And we had Sticky Bandit and Dora Bernadette. Shout out to her. She's a vocalist, and she's a beautiful voice. Has this Erica Badu type of touch to her, and like jazzy, bluesy, you name it. And she's a vocalist and a bass player. So when they came in, I was like, oh, that's a piece of cake to some extent, compared to like having a whole grunge punk band there. It was a piece of cake. But again, it was just stepping into that unknown sometimes and just going for it, and it worked out.
No, it totally worked out. I saw the video. I caught a little bit of it on the radio, and it sounded great. Like the video sounded awesome, and I couldn't even envision, like, where were they in that studio?
Yeah, and they were in the other conference room because the studio is not big enough for a whole grunge punk band.
I was gonna say.
Yeah, we converted that whole other space into just a good performing space for them. Yeah,
no, it sounded great. And then recently you guys just had you were out in the San Fernando outdoor market for their holiday event with a bunch of performers, and I was there, obviously.
Yes, I saw you there.
People were having such a great time. There was a crowd around your booth, and I think one of them was one flautista.
Yes.
Forgot the person before that, but
it was just Tony. Yeah, just Tony was there as well. He killed it too. Yeah, just Tony. He's been in our studio a couple of times too. did some, well, actually one other time before that for the stage series, and we played his music several times. And yeah, I just wanted to bring him out to shine in the community. And, you know, he was super pumped. And gosh, he probably brought like 50 people there, you know, so like they were so excited to see him perform live in the community. And, you know, for us, it was just such a pleasure to, you know, provide that space in the community as well, for local artists, that are, you know, shining too. And, you know, they don't have a platform, outside of, you know, like, you know, the social media platforms, but like to really be out in the community and have people know them, it's something different and special. So yeah, it was great to have them. And Latiniti, who, you know, I know, Juan, of course, Cardenas, and yeah, it was just another wonderful experience of like just, providing a space and some time for local artists to shine as well, you know?
Absolutely. And music is one of the connectors to community, you know, and you could tell. That was an
Yeah,
awesome event. Switching gears, I know this Sunday is your 100th episode,
it
if
is.
I remember correctly. So, within that 100 episodes that you've done, what's your top five, or what were some of your memorable interviews
Yeah,
in the
yeah.
past 2 years?
Gosh, I mean, look, I'll throw a couple stats out there to you.
Okay.
You know, so you know, again, I've been on airwaves now for 2 years. You know, I've been on there for, a little over 10,000 minutes. I've had, over 18 special edition shows. I've done, on top of that, on the spot interviews. I think I'm on my 30th already that I just wrapped up literally a
Oh
little
my
while ago. And
gosh.
total guests, we're looking at over 230 guests that I have interviewed over the last two
Wow.
years. So to really put like those, into a top five, I mean, it's just really hard because one, you know, every person I bring in, you know, I treat exactly like the one before and the one that's coming as well, which is, you know, to me, every single person that's coming in, including yourself, Dan Rochelle, are so
I was
special, you
like,
know.
nope, nope, nope.
Everyone brings something different to the table, but I will tell you one of my, most difficult ones, but special, as I mentioned earlier too, you know, I teach as well. You know, I teach at Arleta High School, and then one of the things that,
Oh,
you know, unfortunately, one of our, students of mine from my AP World History class, Angel, passed away this summer. You know, he lost his battle to leukemia, and you know that was probably a very special show, but also a very difficult one that I have never done like that before. You know, I reached out to the parents, you know, not necessarily with that in mind, but then afterwards, someone else had told me, from the family, like, hey, maybe, you know, they want to, they were also doing like a GoFundMe and stuff like that. But, you know, I wanted to really honor his life. And I asked the parents if, you know, they wanted to talk about Angel's life and honor Angel's life as well on our platform. And, you know, they were definitely willing to. I wanted to, you know, respect their wishes, of course. And if anything, I wanted to, they didn't want to be on the show, at least me be able to talk about it. But of
yeah.
course, I wanted the parents' blessings for that. And yeah, they were open to that. And, some of his friends were on the show too. And that was probably one of my most difficult shows, but it was also, really rewarding in the sense that, you know, it was nice to give a space to parents of, that were hurting so much and, you know, had just lost their, you know, their, first child.
Yeah.
And so, you know, that show really sticks out to me because of that. You know, because you know, again, it was just, you know, just so devastating, but yet at the same time, you know, we were able to shed a light on, you know, this, youthful person that unfortunately, you know, just went a little too soon.
Yeah.
And you know, of course, my very, very first show, can't forget that one, you know, the very first show, just trying to, my buddy that I mentioned, Angel, he was there in the studio next to me. And you can see that picture. It's on our post on our Instagram, when we just did the 2-year anniversary post. But it was, he was right next to me to like kind of, you know, in case I needed help with like the pushing of the buttons, you know, just managing the control board and, you know, making sure I knew which buttons were for the mics to turn off, turn on, and things like that sort. And that was just that show. I literally had to go back and listen to it a couple of times because I was like, what did I say? You know, by the time I was done with those 2 hours, I was like, what did I say? I don't even really remember, because it was just like, you know, I just turn on the mics, the red light turns on, that means you're on air, the mics are hot, and we just had this show, which is a beautiful show. Angel Cervantes was on it as one of my first guests, along with Erica Diaz, who was like a writer. And so
Mhm.
it was just great. And of course, at the time, I had a co-host that started with me. She really bounced a lot of ideas off of me. You know, a lot of folks are you know, say, well, you're the creator of ValleyViews. I was like, yeah, I am the creator, but I always like to give credit where credit's due. And, you know, Rocio Lopez uh, was there for me. You know, like when I started the show, when it was finally like green light, I didn't want to do it by myself, you know, so
Yeah.
I had the vision and mission and all that good stuff, but I reached out to her and I asked her, hey, I think you would be a great person to be there with me as a co-host. And then we started brainstorming some more. So, you know, and because of that, I always just say I'm the co-creator, because she helped out on that. And you know, to me, it's, you know, quite honest, like not about the titles, but it's just really great that, you know, that very first show, we just did it and we had some great conversations. And again, even that show, I feel like at first I was like, whoa, it's barely 1 hour. By the end of that second hour, I was like, wow, it's done. You know, so even that very first show was like that. So yeah, I mean, it's just been wonderful having, like I said, over, you know, 230 people on the show. Every single show, I have at least one person. And you know, it's just been wonderful to like interview so many folks. And the last thing I could say about, you know, and again, this is a long-winded answer to your question here, but because I'm trying to get away from like the top five here,
Oh,
okay?
no, no, that's fine. You
But
don't have to.
yeah, but I think just the other thing is just, you know, within all these shows, I mean, every show takes its life of its own. I have a little bit of a vision how I like to start my shows, a little structure to them. But at the end of the day, you know, I really just, what I really enjoy about every single person that's been on the show, and I could literally visualize all the folks, you know, I could literally visualize everyone that's been on the show. I could tell you a little bit about the ambiance, the atmosphere, and also how our studio was changing every time we were there, you know.
Yes,
I just looked at the last picture, but versus how our studio looks now, and it looks completely different too. But every single person just you know, brings their own story and you know, their own energy. You know, I remember Jeannie Cohen, big shout out to Jeannie Cohen, who does like breathwork stuff. And, you know, we did like some meditation and breathing right before the show started, you know, and so that was my first time kind of experiencing that with someone, you know, a guest, you know, and so you just have all these wonderful experiences with so many folks that bring different energy, all really good energy, but, you know, it's their own unique energy. And so that's just been a beautiful thing. And in that sense, I'm just truly blessed to have, you know, coming up 100 episode, 2 years
Mhm.
on air, and, you know, hopefully continue just to build some more, you know.
That's awesome. And I hope that you continue to build some more. I'm excited. I'm here on the sidelines cheering for you in Valley Views.
Well,
Um,
thank you.
especially with how you know, when we co-host the show, the Spotlight series,
The
and I refer
Spotlight
that,
series,
yeah,
come
the
on now.
Spotlight, and I refer that back to that because that's, you know, I watch you when you do the show, and you know, I'm watching everyone around the room. But one of the things that struck me, and I think this matters a lot. As a mom, you know, I would, and I think this goes back to you being a teacher. But the way you interact with your interns, the way you challenge them to step up and, you know, um, be more of a part of Valley Views. That's amazing. You know, I mean, shout out to class president Carlos.
That's right.
in in about in the 4 times that, you know, that I've been in the studio, the last time he was telling us what to do with the mics and the headsets.
Oh yeah, he's
You
just
know,
shining and growing so much, you know.
and that, I think that makes you unique in the sense that um you're pretty much passing on the torch, or you're preparing, you know, Not the children. That makes us sound so old.
The
The
youth,
youth,
the
there
next
you go. The
generation,
youth
if
is
you
the
will.
word. But preparing the youth to sort of take over.
Yeah.
And that's amazing to see.
Oh
Um,
no, thank you for that. Yeah, big shout out to everybody. When I started this, like I said, back in 2019, and obviously I planned this before, December we went on air, because I'm a planner. I plan, I visualize, I write things down, I talk to folks, I bounce ideas off of the people that I trust. And one of the things that just has it, evolved really is, yeah, like again, trying to bridge, right, like our youth, of course, me being an educator, always looking for opportunities for them, even prior to having the radio show. But yeah, and so through this, and I remember actually interviewing one of my professors over at UCLA when I was doing grad school out there. Big shout out to my professor out there, Tyrone Howard, Dr. Howard. But when I had him on the show to talk about, he had a report at the time on unhoused homeless youth in LA, over at through the UCLA department that he's a part of. But when we were offline talking, he asked like, "Hey, so do you have any youth, like, or how's that going, like bridging them?" And at the time I didn't. And so, he really planted that seed, and he was just asking out of curiosity. And at that time I hadn't made that connection 100%, so I got to give credit to Professor Howard there, because really Tyrone definitely kind of, I see how he does that. And so with his programs and how, he links with other students, grad students and things of that sort. But I was like, hey, I got to do that with the high school students, and not just high school students, just other folks that want to be part of radio, media, and broadcasting, right? So yeah, I'm really blessed that, really ValleyViews now, functions with a lot of folks, doing different things, and me kind of managing and mentoring, and just creating workflows and stuff like that, so that people could kind of like get certain skills, get some experience, hands-on experience, and grow. And so yeah, now it's like I have a pretty good team of interns, volunteers. So, big shout out to like Rinky, to Catherine, Sylvia, Maria, DJ Grover, Dalia, Yami, Carlos, Jose the Panda. And actually a new addition that I have now is also Jessica Martinez. Jessica Martinez, she, just real quick story on her. She was
it's okay.
actually one of my students. She was one of my students. I used to coach basketball too, at the high school level, and I coached the boys and the girls basketball team. And she was on the basketball team, and she calls me coach. Now it's like, you don't have to call me coach anymore. You can call me Hector, But she graduated back in 2010 from high school, and so now 11 years later, she calls me up just recently, not too long ago, and she's like, coach, I want to work with you. I want to, like, how can I be an intern with you? Like, I'm trying to change some things around. I'm doing a journalism program, and, I'm really into photojournalism and video recording, and I see your work, and how can I be part of your team? And so, we talked, and we looked at paths for, her being on board. And, we just wrapped up actually our second on the spot interview, actually our third one now, together, and so it just, I'm not sure 100% how it kind of happens sometimes, but it happens. And it's just beautiful to see folks seeing something here, and then me seeing gifts in other folks too, and just figuring out ways to bring people together. And so yeah, just like that, I mean, the team has grown. So Valley Views, definitely, I don't want Valley Views to be about me. I want Valley Views to be about others as well. So my goal is, eventually to have Valley Views, and not just Valley Views, KROJ, our platform. I also sit on the radio board with KROJ, and part of that vision is to open up spaces for others, right? As far as programming goes and shows, to have slots, on our platform as well, So I want Valley Views to not just be Hector. So I would love to see other folks being out in the field, or, at times like being the host instead of myself. And same with KROJ, it's just seeing different programmings grow that represent the different folks here in the San Fernando Valley.
Nice, nice. When you started this, did you think it was going to grow into what it is now?
Not really, not like this. I feel like I go through these really interesting, like transformational periods that I call, where like it takes me in a certain direction, and it's like a little time period of that, and then from there it evolves into a different thing, and then evolves into a different thing. And so I feel like, yeah, Valley Views is just such a dynamic um, platform. It's such a dynamic energy. And yeah, I mean, when I first turned on, the on air, I was just like, I hope I could get some other guests, and I hope I could get that, and I would just, reach out, of course, to all of my contacts, and I had all those contacts lined up. And then, now it's, yeah, I just couldn't imagine like we're currently at. And the other thing is, and I think I've told you this offline too. I'm not chasing anything. To me, it's not about chasing followers, chasing certain flex or anything of that sort. I'm really just trying to build. So I'm not a chaser, I'm a builder. And so really, when I started this, I just knew I wanted to build something, where I could have like the community be part of something with me. And that was, to try to highlight them, of course. But now it's taking a little bit of its own life, and different folks are very supportive in so many different ways. And so yeah, now we have sponsors, we have different sponsorships, and we also have some donors that have been coming in, because I really been funding the show for the last 2 years, out of pocket, of course. That's when I tell folks I'm the executive producer, I'm like, that's just a fancy term for everything comes out of my pocket. So don't believe the hype when it comes to titles. But yeah, so yeah, I just have, like, I have a vision for Valley Views. I've always had, but to see the way it's grown, and growing intentionally, like I said, it's just a special platform for me. And so it's what kind of keeps me going, to try to continue to build, to see where it goes. And like I said, eventually, and hopefully we're going to get there, and we will, have more, on-air talent, as well, to be part of Valley Views and also KROJ. But yeah, that's kind of where we are.
It's funny when you talk about that 1 hour that just flies by. We've been talking for 45 minutes now.
Oh, really? Hey, I'm a talker.
Not a bad thing, not a bad thing. But
Usually I'm more of a listener than a talker, but I can definitely talk.
Which is great, because your story and the way you run Valley Views is truly inspiring. I mean, I'm inspired by it,
Oh, thank you. Appreciate those kind words.
I try. But just seeing the people that you feature, and just, it's not just one pool of people. It's various people from various walks of life. You have your musicians, your politicians, your writers, your event coordinators, again, it's just telling their stories, and that's pretty much what it's about. Sometimes it's just giving them the space to know that, hey, I can share what what I've gone through. But saying all that, sorry, tangent.
Good.
Where do you see Valley Views in the next decade or so? I know KROJ just renewed the license to 2029.
Yeah, so yeah, we got our FCC renewal
Mhm.
to 2029. So that's, definitely really excited about that. And yeah, I think, I'm definitely working on a couple of things, with the rest of the KROJ board and family of KROJ. But one of the things I definitely a couple of things that I could definitely tell you, so that it's in the works, but I'm happy to talk about it here. Is we're definitely I've been in talks with a couple of folks related to building an app. So we definitely want to have our own KROJ app, so that it gives folks here from the San Fernando Valley and beyond that listen to us, because we definitely have folks that listen to our show, places like New York, Houston, Brooklyn. We got folks out in St. Louis, Missouri. We got folks out in San Diego. So we obviously have folks that listen to us in other places too. But we want to build an app, so hopefully we'll be launching that in the next several months. I want to do it right, and looking at the timeline and what we want from it. So that's definitely one thing that we're going to be working on. We want to try to increase our broadcasting, our antennas. So we're monitoring closely what the FCC is doing with what's called low power FM wattages and our frequency, to try to boost that. So that's definitely in the works as well. In fact, there might be some sponsors that might be getting also in the mix with us for that. So stay tuned for that. And really the way I see it is more programming, not just ValleyViews but KROJ, that finding local talent from the Valley that have their own like perspectives or ideas, creative ideas, and getting those out there. And in fact, I'm already working with a couple folks that have reached out to me, and some that are like some producers for big commercial radio that actually want to have a show on our platform. And so it's really neat to see that, like, just different folks reaching out, trying to have be part of this platform. And so so I really just want to build like quality programming. If I put on my KROJ board member hat on, I just want to have quality programming that gets folks like some education, fun, entertainment, and they just feel like they're a part of the community. And having the airwaves and our platform be just an extension of that. It's like actual folks in the community coming in and having that station for them as well. So so I really do see the next year, 5 years, 10 years, KROJ just kind of growing, more folks knowing who we are, and also having giving people opportunities, because radio itself, what I've learned the last 2 years is that radio isn't just the on-air talent. Doing everything starting from the ground up, and me managing social media, me doing video edits, doing the production of the archives, of the actual audio, fixing audio stuff, to like the hardware stuff, and programming. I mean, radio itself, there's a lot of different opportunities outside of the mic, or outside of the camera, for the things we do on social media. And so trying to really build more opportunities, it's just going to be just just a way to continue to branch out and grow, and give folks opportunities that maybe they didn't have access to before, and trying to figure out how we could work with local high schools, as well as community colleges. And of course, we have CSUN, and just working with the different community colleges as well, and letting those departments that are in communications, broadcasting, media, that there's a platform here for you to potentially work on some of those skills that you want, and propel you to the next level in that sense. So I mean, there's a lot I could go on when it comes to this. I'm probably lighting up myself right here, like I talk about my guests lighting up, but there are so many things that I'm writing down that I'm already working on too, when it comes to a more solid internship program. We're already building something, and I'll just throw it out there already, because we just launched it, but it was a very soft launch. So it's out there right now, but it's just brewing. We're calling it SFV Valley Visuals, and SFV Valley Visuals is going to be where a platform that I'm helping to build, to get folks that want to get into photojournalism and things of that sort. We'll be working alongside myself and Jessica Martinez, my intern that I have right now, to really coordinate and teach the youth or folks that want to get into this how to go about photojournalism with like real world application, you know?
Yeah.
So that's already kind of in the works. Yeah, there's a lot of things happening behind the scenes and, you know, intentionally growing it. Like I said, I'm in no rush. I'm not chasing anything. I'm
Mhm.
just here to build. And so, you know, there's a lot, but I also want to be very intentional on how we grow it so that it's like something very authentic and it comes from the community as well, as far as like, you know, folks that have the gifts and talents and that want to be part of this to really help build with me and others, you know. So that's kind of what's going on and what
That's a
I
lot.
believe will happen.
It's like when I told you I wanted to see how you guys would grow, I'm like, whoa, that's that's huge.
Yeah, there's a lot of things going on. Yeah, yeah, for sure.
Oh my gosh, Hector, that's amazing. I cannot wait till 2022 to see what else you guys have up your sleeve. Thank you for being on the show. Really appreciate it. For the listeners and viewers out there, where can they find you? How can they follow you and see all this amazing stuff that ValleyViews is doing? Go for it.
Yeah, I mean, our main, most active place, of course, is on our Instagram page, but also, you know, Facebook. We're on Twitter as well. Just got a TikTok account not too long ago, but really tapping in at Valley Views SFV, you know, SFB as in San Fernando Valley. That's our main platform. We're also on SoundCloud as well, where we archive all of our, audio recordings, our interviews. And then we will be launching soon a Valley Views YouTube as well to be able to put all of our music performances there as well. But I would say the big hub for us is go to Valley Views SFB on Instagram, and then from there you could click on the bio link and it'll take you to all the other universes that we live in online as well. And of course, tune in on 101.5 FM Valley Views here in the San Fernando Valley on Sundays from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. and on Thursdays from 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. So you'll find me on the airwaves there as well with all the beautiful and wonderful guests that we bring in.
Thank you so much, Hector. Everyone, thank you for listening and thank you for tuning in. This is the last interview for 2021.
Yay! Bravo, you did it. Yay!
I know. We'll see you guys in 2022.
Awesome. Peace, y'all.
Bye.